Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on our video. We hope to give you some really helpful information about why you should rent a camper van for your trip around the Ring Road in Iceland. I'm Nathan.
And I'm Tori.
And we are
Tori
and Nathan Travel. Go subscribe to our channel to see lots of cool content like this for anywhere that you might be interested in traveling to. Now let's get into the video.
So reason number one why we think that you should absolutely rent a camper van when you're going to Iceland is because really in order to see the pretty beautiful, scenic, iconic sites, you're going to need a car anyway. You need transportation because most of them are pretty far outside of the capital city. In fact, I'd say all of them. So lodging in Iceland, everything in Iceland, but lodging is super expensive.
So expensive.
So expensive. And so we figure, well, if I need transportation, lodging is expensive, then I might as well kill two birds with one stone and get a camper van. Get my transportation that also has my lodging in it. Literally just makes so much sense. And in our experience, it was like the best thing. We're so glad we did it. Lodging is so expensive in Iceland. We were talking to a guy that we met that had spent $4,000 on his lodging for 2 weeks in the capital city.
Yeah.
That's like just on his lodging, and that's more than we, like double what we spent, for our whole trip. It was crazy. So camper vanning, definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and I will say, camper vanning is so popular in Iceland, probably more popular there than in any other country around the world as far as the number of camper vans per citizens.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They've got such a great infrastructure for it.
For sure.
Which leads us into our second point. When you're driving around the Ring Road, there aren't a lot of hotels or Airbnbs, but there are campsites everywhere because this is a country that's set up for camping. And that's camping for tent campers or for van campers. They've got power and electric and water hookups for if you have that big of a camper that you've got all the hookups. You can plug into the campsites and get all that, or you can just park your van and just camp out in it like you normally would.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can, even if you're just driving a rental car, you can pop out your tent from the trunk and just camp at the campgrounds. So it's really convenient and much more convenient than trying to find a hotel or an Airbnb.
Yeah, for sure. And this is kind of assuming that you want to drive the whole Ring Road, which most people that go to Iceland for at least a week or more are planning to drive the Ring Road. And so that would be the most common reason that you would want to camp or rent a camper van. Mm-hmm. And so with that, around the Ring Road, there are so many campsites that it's super easy to do.
Yeah.
And so also, while talking about the campsites, point number 3 is that it makes it really easy to camper van because the campsites there are so nice. The majority of the campsites are so nice. And you can find out all about them online and read reviews and what, when they're open and stuff. But a lot of the nicer ones have Wi-Fi, they have nice cooking facilities, and they have like really nice bathrooms and showers that are huge. And so it's really fun sometimes when you get to a really popular campsite and there's a bunch of other campers or, people that are camper vanning as well there. And it's like a really friendly atmosphere and you meet people from different countries all over Europe. And so, it's really fun. Yeah.
The campsites, they're not your typical campsite that you would think of. Like when I think of one here in the U.S., oftentimes I think of just, an open area where you could go pitch a tent, but there's not really facilities. But yeah, these are so nice. And you will pay for them. So like in Reykjavik, in the capital, the campsite there is about $25 per person per night. So we paid $50 for a night. But compared to lodging, which could be up to $200, starting at like
downwards of 200.
Starting at $200, for just a small room or a small apartment, you're already saving hundreds of dollars per night by camping.
Yeah.
So even though that seems expensive for a campsite, that's the cheapest thing you're going to find.
Yeah, and I would say most of the places in Iceland are not 200 a night, they're more.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and other campsites, once you get out from the capital, are cheaper. Like a lot of them, we say it might have been $12 per person or $15.
Yeah.
So you can get cheaper campsites. The other great thing about renting a camper van instead of trying to stay at a hotel or an Airbnb is that you have total flexibility. No matter where you want to go, you can change your schedule day to day. And we ran into this when we went on our trip to Ireland, is that we were sometimes trying to play catch up. We took too much time in one day and we had to just skip a few things that we wanted to see because we had to get to an Airbnb that was halfway across, the country that night. So we just had to drive it and we couldn't take the time to see what we wanted to. But in Iceland, if you're staying at campsites, you can do whatever you want and just show up at the campsite and camp. And there's so many campsites all over the place. You just You just find one near you and you're good to go. And that's just such a beautiful thing to be able to do. It gives you total freedom.
So another reason why you should rent a camper van or at a minimum do camping in Iceland is because a lot of the iconic sites that you're going to go see have campsites attached. So if you're going out of your way, you know, on the south side of Iceland to see this gorgeous waterfall that you read about online, and you get there at dusk and you see it, but there's people everywhere and it's starting to get dark, and then you have to drive off to a hotel somewhere else, and that was like your one shot to see it. It's not very fun. But if you can plan your day so that, okay, we'll arrive at this site in the evening, and we don't even have to worry about going to hike to see the waterfall or going to see it right away, because it'll be there first thing in the morning. We're just going to stay at the campsite that's attached to it. Like, that makes things so much easier. I think for at least 2 of the nights and the campsites we stayed at, they were attached to like sites that you want to see anyway, and that made it really easy.
For example, our second day in Iceland, we saw the Golden Circle. And then after that, we drove along east to go to Seljalandsfoss waterfall. We were thinking maybe we'd have time to see it that day, but we didn't. It was dark by the time we got there. So we camped right there by the waterfall and got to see it first thing in the morning before it was crowded. And that was amazing. Another great reason to rent a camper van in Iceland is because it's so popular, they've got vans for any type of situation. You could be a group of 6 adults and still find a van that sleeps all 6 of you comfortably, has its own bathroom, and its own cooking facilities. You can go total luxury in your van, camper van.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we decided to go with the cheap option, and we rented the smallest possible van. And if you want to see it, go watch the video we did on our camper van tour. It was a Volkswagen Caddy that, even if it was just a minivan, would probably only seat 4 or 5 people, right? It only had room for 2 people to sit up front, a bed, and then a small tiny fridge and some supplies underneath the bed. But that was all we needed, and we saved so much money by doing that. That was the cheapest possible option. Hence the name Affordable Campers was the company that we rented it from. Mm-hmm. But if you want to pay more, you can pay, and you can get the nicest camper vans that fit a small family, or just 2 people can live it up in a camper van.
Absolutely, and I think the diversity of vans that they have there is part of what makes camper vanning like so appealing, and why we recommend it to everybody that's wanting to go to Iceland, because like, why wouldn't you? You'll save so much money just because lodging's so expensive, and you'll have, like all the other points we mentioned, so much freedom, but then there's also so much versatility in the vans that you can find something, you know, whether you want to go luxury, whether you want a little RV with a bathroom in it and maybe even a shower, or you just want to do as cheap as possible and spend $800 for your whole week lodging and car rental, then you can do that too. So we highly recommend camper vanning and camping in Iceland. It was an awesome experience, and if we ever go back, I'd say we'd do the same thing again. For sure. Maybe a more luxurious van. But yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
But those are our 6 reasons why you should rent a camper van for your trip to Iceland to see the Ring Road. But I'll throw in one last bonus tip for why you definitely should rent a camper van, and that is, if you want to see the Northern Lights, you have great odds of seeing it if you're camping every night, because you're out in the open, away from city lights, and you've got the open skies in front of you. So on our 5th night of camping, we actually were lucky enough to see the Northern Lights when we were camping in northern Iceland outside the town of Akureyri. And so that was easy enough, because all we had to do was look out our van window and say, oh, there's something green in the sky. And so we went out and got to see it, and it was an amazing experience. Got to mark that off of our bucket list. You know, it's awesome. And we wouldn't have done that if we were staying in a hotel. That just wouldn't have happened. So many people go to Iceland and pay for a tour just to take them outside in the dark in a spot where they could see the Northern Lights better. You don't have to do that if you're in a campsite. Anyway, guys, we hope you enjoyed this video. Go check out our other Iceland content.
The playlist will be linked in the description box below.
And if you want to see some of the gear that we used while we were there, we'll also link that down below in the description box.
For sure. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks. Bye.
Nice. Yeah, it's good.